Welcome to the Explosive Mechanics Podcast with Jerry Benning. Today's episode, we're going to talk about brief maximal tension and what brief maximal tension really is, and how some people may actually be underutilizing the brief maximal tension method. So first off, the brief maximal tension method and the maximum effort method are basically the same thing. It can be divided up as the maximum effort method for higher training age people and the brief maximum tension for lower training age people. And the maximum effort method is usually 1 to 3 reps. And the brief max is normally 3 to 5 reps. But first, we're going to read what maximum effort method is from the Science and Practice of Strength Training. Maximum effort method. The maximum effort method is considered superior for both improving intermuscular coordination and intramuscular coordination. So the individual muscle and the overall muscles within the body itself. So like when you see our butt come off the bench when we bench, we're trying to use and coordinate not only the muscles required to get that job done. So if you were doing a strict bench, those strict muscles for that, but also we're using our entire body as we would in football, baseball, like a pitcher having to utilize his whole body in order to get that one implement thrown, which is the ball. We're using our whole body as far as the bench press to get that whole implement lifted. So we're trying to have the main muscle groups, the primary movers and the secondary movers. So we're trying to get not only the inner cell of the muscle, but the outer cell of all the other muscles combined in order to get the job done. So the maximal effort method helps coordinate intermuscular and intramuscular coordination. This method should be used to bring forth the greatest strength increments. The maximum number of motor units is activated at optimal discharge frequency while using the maximum effort method. The recommended number of reps per set is 1 to 3. Okay, so that's the maximum effort method from the Science and Practice of Strength Training. And a lot of things are sad because these books are still not being taught in colleges. So these college strength coaches coming up to be, or these new exercise science kids coming up, they don't have access to these books. And that's almost a disservice to the people that are at these universities going through exercise science and not getting this information. So this comes from the fundamentals of special strength training in sport. Okay, this don't even cover the max effort method. This just says if a quick display of absolute strength is required, then the brief maximal tension method is given priority in training. 85 to 90% of maximum, example 3 to 5 reps, are primarily utilized. However, the number of sets should be increased more than 3 sets. You should be doing more than 3 sets within 3 to 5 reps. The brief maximal tension method develops the ability to concentrate neuromuscular effort and yields a larger training effect than the progressive resistance method. The progressive resistance method is also known as the repeated effort method. So that would be anything higher than 6 reps, because if you read over here, according to this professor, between 1 to 6 reps is the optimal number for training highly qualified athletes. And an increase in this number hinders strength development. So an increase in the number from 1 to 6 actually hinders strength development. And I'll get in that because we'll just get into that later. So brief maximal tension, according to fundamentals of special strength training in sport, if a quick display of absolute strength is required, then the brief maximal tension method is given priority in training. Okay, so if a rapid display of maximum strength is required, then the brief maximum tension method is given priority in training. This is from Super Training, very similar to this other book. Example, 85 to 90% of 1 RM, example 3 to 5 reps are primarily used and are combined with lifting lighter weights in one training session. So you may do your brief maximal tension on your squat, then your accessory works may go to the repeated effort method. That's secondary, okay? The brief maximal tension method develops the ability to concentrate neuromuscular effort and yields a larger training effect than the progressive resistance method for developing maximal strength and the ability to display it quickly. So the brief maximal tension method develops the best display of strength and the best way to display the strength quickly. It increases strength without increasing muscle mass, which is important for sports that require primarily the development of relative strength. Lifting maximum and near maximum weights enhances the ability to accelerate heavy loads and increases special work capacity as expressed by the skill to develop brief concentrated effort of great power. So that's what the brief maximal tension method is. And so where I think, and I see some people getting it wrong is it says between 3 to 5, or even if you want to get 2s where you're still following and maximum effort method, both of them. So you can look at the brief maximum tension as a sub method or step 2 of the maximum effort method, or all at once. So it could be just interchanged as the same thing, like dynamic effort work could be also known as speed strength work. So you still need to be failing within 3 to 5. You're not hitting 3s clearly and hitting 5s cleanly. You have to miss reps. And I did an episode several years ago on the importance of missing reps, because if you're trying to get that brief, concentrated effort done, you're gonna have to give it all you got. And if you got, even in this, I'm gonna go to science, practice, strength training. If an athlete can lift a barbell 12 times, but only lifts at 10, the exercise set is worthless for training of the motor units at their highest recruitment order. So if you're getting 5s and so that's why you got multiple sets. So if you got a set of 5 and you go 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, all clean 5s, you have not maximized your motor unit recruitment. So you're not getting everything out of it. So for my athletes at the gym, and the hardest thing for me is the online clients. The online clients don't get it because they're not in that environment. The gym is an environment full of other athletes missing reps. So everybody's missing reps, so it's just a common thing. So if they've never worked or trained before, when I get these 6th graders, by the time they get to high school, they're benching 405 as a junior, they miss reps, so they don't understand. Like in high school, they're told, take off weight and get your reps. It's not the reps that make you stronger. It's the tension. The tension is the tension. Brief maximum tension. It's the tension that makes you stronger. If I get anything, it's the tension and not the reps. And so if you're cruising through, you're getting all sets of 5, you're getting all sets of 3. So whatever you got 4x3, 5x5, 4x5, 4x4, or whatever you're doing. And if you're coasting through and you're not at least failing, you're not maximizing the motor unit recruitment at the optimal discharge frequency in order to get that training effect. You know, training effect is training is specific adaptations to impose demands. You have to specifically impose a demand on the system, which is the body, over and over and over again. And to be like, dang, here's your results. Damn, I'm tired of this. Here's your results. But if you're cruising through, you're not specifically demanding that concentrated neuromuscular effort in order to get the job done. And so when my online clients are missing reps, some of them will get frustrated. If I want them to do a set of 4 and they're getting 2s, to me, that's fine. But to them, if they're not making the reps, they feel like they're a failure. And I've got people, Jared, I feel like I'm not getting better. Yeah, they feel that way because they have been pre-programmed to make in their head, make sure that, hey, if we're making these reps, we're getting better. Hey, if we're making these reps, we're getting better. If you're making the reps at the gym, next day, because how I do it, and same thing for my online clients, I can't write an entire week out for them because it's not about the exercises, it's about the patterns of the numbers. So if whatever they do on Monday, if they're gonna bench Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I gotta wait till Monday's completed before I can write Wednesday. And I gotta wait for Wednesday to be completed before I write Friday. It's not a game of here's 6-week program, go do this. That's terrible. Whoever gives you a 6-week program tells you to go do this, they're actually holding you back because they're not utilizing and basing things off of your current adaptation rate. Everybody responds to stimulus and things differently. So for me, I write everything on paper in folders for the kids at the gym, and for my online clients, I still type it out for them. Then they write back what pattern they got. Then I write back the next set of numbers. They write back. It's a back and forth thing all over. And I'm trying to get the best results out of people I can, because I am trying to be the best strength expert out there as far as getting people strong at a higher, quicker rate. I just had my 53rd athlete jump a 40. My nephew, Zach Bendy, jumped a 40 yesterday. 53 athletes to jump 40. I've had 12 or 13 girls. By the time the jump book 2 is in the works. So hopefully it will be out this May. I know I've got a lot of emails lately, and I'm not even really posted a whole lot on social media, and I've got emails about the jump book. Jump book 2 expect the second edition, expanded second edition is going to be out there. It's going to go over. In that book, I'm going to cover muscle tension. I'm going to try to figure out myths and how people are thinking. So like this brief maximum stuff, it's going to be handwritten in that. It's going to go over the repeated effort method. It's going to go over dynamic effort method. It's going to go optimal percentages for each of them. I may even give sample lower body workouts. I'm not sure how much I want to do because I got to be fair to my online people and I got to be fair to the people at the gym because they're paying a premium price to have me help them. So that's that. So the brief maximum effort method, BMTs, people are calling it. You have to fail within a certain range, and we got to go on and make these patterns work. I forgot which book it's in, but the brief maximal tension or repeated effort method is a powerful stimulus. And if you expose the athletes to that over and over, like I've never had a kid go off to college and come back stronger, faster. Their jumps are down, their bench is down, their squats down. So their overall power is not quite there because these colleges and these universities, which people think highly of, I think most of those guys are just trying to get these athletes prepared and just conditioned. You know, we can do some strength work. It may not be optimal strength work, but it could be some strength work. It can be this exercise routine or it could be that exercise routine. And so it's just the regimen that they're doing. And if you got kids that have never been to college before or didn't have a good high school weight room, they go there, they get great results because they're a beginner. But I've also had kids report back to me from these different universities. Sometimes they'll go an entire semester and they'll work their ass off. And they may gain 5 pounds. Some kids may gain 5 pounds, but some kids, when they come back to the gym, they're 15, 20 pounds weaker. But some of their other buddies may have gained 5 pounds in a semester. He said, Jan, we work, and that's all we got. People at the gym are getting about 15 pounds per month on their bench if they're benching with me 3 days a week. Some are getting 20. I've had a lot of athletes go within 6 months, their bench up 100 pounds. And once you see everybody else in that one environment doing it, you're thinking the gyms, you're thinking that's how it is. Like in these kids at the gym, they're missing their reps all the time. It's just like, oh, shrug it off shoulder, next set, shrug it off shoulder, next set. And they come in and adjust the numbers and adjust this. And like, Jared, are you trying to freaking kill me? Yeah, because it's about the test at the end of each month. They're going to test their bench. They're going to test their jump. They're going to test the 40. So we're testing these athletic parameters. Like if they're going to leave the gym, they're going to be ready to go to a showcase. They're going to be ready to go to a football camp, whatever they're doing. They're going to have to run. They're going to have to do some type of jump, whether broad jump or vertical. They don't have to bench, but that bench press is correlated to swing speed, and they're physically stronger, and they can handle a lot more when they get to the drills. So and this also says strength increments increase more rapidly with heavy weights, 90 to 95% of one arm, with 3 to 6 reps being a smaller increase in muscle mass. So brief maximal tension method increases maximum strength without increasing muscle mass. This stimulus improves the ability to display strength quickly. It's appropriate to use this method when the repeated effort method has become ineffective for the development of strength. So the repeated effort method, you got 3 methods of muscular tension. You got the maximum effort, you got the repeated effort, and you got the dynamic effort. 3 methods. Isometrics, isokinetics, eccentrics, all those are exercises. Those are not methods. Those are exercises that can be utilized with brief maximum tension, repeated effort, and things like that. So let people know that isometrics, isokinetics, eccentrics are exercises that have to deal with levels of muscular tension, which are your maximum effort or brief maximal tension. You got your repeated effort, your bodybuilding, your sets, your reps. That are higher than 6, because once you use the repeated effort method, you're basically doing the Hinman and size principle, which the brief maximal tension, everything's concentrated at a high discharge frequency. So you got all motor units are discharged at optimal discharge frequency. So that means full power is turned on, everybody's lit up, go. It's not the dim light, it's the bright light. It's not the water hose on half, it's the water hose on full. So you're getting everything out of your body, out of the central nervous system, your alpha motor neurons are being told to go at all size fibers. So you got your intermediate, you got your large, and you got your slow twitch fibers all fired at the same firing rate at the same time, concentrated at a neuromuscular effort efficiency to try to get that one job done. Where the repeated effort method is your slow twitch or fatigued, next your intermediate fatigued, and then your fast twitch or fatigued at the higher rep. So if you're doing sets of 10, 12, 8, they're in a fall off order. So boom, first wave's done, second wave's done, then the faster, higher motor unit threshold units are called in at the end. So they're not fired at optimal discharge frequency at the same time. They're just almost like dodgeball. Boom, that kid's out, that kid's out, that kid's out, then we're done. So that's the repeated effort method. And the dynamic effort, speed, strength method, all that is that it's used to increase rate of force development. It does not increase strength. So you can increase strength with repeated effort method to a point, and then that method becomes inefficient. And when that method becomes inefficient, you got to use the brief maximal tension method in order to have these rapid increases and continual increases in strength, because we do not plateau at the gym. So I'm just lucky enough to have everybody there failing all the time. Like I said, online people don't quite get it. They get frustrated with me, this is not working, so forth and so on. But you know, I've got a lot of them that have stuck with me for years now, and they have astounding results. So, and they're still continuing to learn. So really appreciate those people. But it's the failure that leads to success. You have to miss reps. You have to, and you got to deal with it. And you got to know that I have a large environment. It was the gym's basically its own matrix. It kind of just takes over its own self. And so I'm basically there on autopilot, answering and ask questions. So anyway, with that, we've learned that the brief maximum tension, you have to fail within a certain rep range or you're not maximizing the motor unit recruitment. So hopefully I've explained that. Now with the dynamic effort method, it only enhances rate of force development. And you can use stuff like the box squat or a pause bench to enhance rate of force development and absolute strength at the same time. That's what the box squatting is doing. We're increasing absolute strength and rate of force development at the same time. Now, you can increase rate of force development and absolute strength at the same time with some exercises or as long as you're using brief maximum tension, you're getting optimal discharge frequency with the rep pattern that you need. But with the dynamic effort method, you can only enhance. So like, let's say someone increases their box squat from 315 to 405, and they get a significant drop in improvement in their running ability. Then from 405 to 450, the running does not change. What happens is you start to create a strength deficit. And with that, then that's when you need to use, or you can use we use the dynamic effort method with our jumps because they're loaded at the appropriate speed strength percentages for enhancing optimal rate of force development ability and not just general rate of force development. Like these people with these power cleans, that loading that you got to use with the power cleans is way too heavy. It does not fit optimal. And subconsciously with the power clean or the snatch, you have to slow the barbell down. So with the dumbbell jumps, you're actually using true dynamic. Dynamic effort is lifting or throwing a weight or your body off the ground. If you want to consider jumping, throwing your body off the ground, lifting or throwing a weight at maximum velocity at with certain small resistance, against a small resistance. So you're not going to increase your strength, you're going to increase that gap. So if you got someone that's not like, okay, so you take someone that's squatting and not doing their dumbbell jumps, so they're not, and they can be box squatting, enhancing the rate of force development and absolute strength at the same time, but at a point in time, that will stop working if you're just box squatting without the dumbbell jumps. And so they may go from a 5.2 to a 4.8 with box squatting only, no dumbbell jumping. What happens is that strength deficit starts to expand. So some books say you're only able to display 80% of your absolute strength as explosive strength. So 80% is explosive strength of your absolute. And so you may go from 135 to 205, and 205 to 315, and 315 to 405, maintaining your ability to use 80% of that. Now, once you go from 405 to 455 or 500, that 80% may have stuck there. And so now at 500, you're only able to display, say, 65% if you've not been doing the dumbbell jumps or higher rate of force development activities with it. And so then there's your strength deficit. Now you were at 65, you were at 80, so you're not able to utilize all that percent load. And so you have dropped to 65% of your ability instead of having 80% of your ability to display at explosive strength levels. And so that's kind of where the dynamic effort method comes in. And that's why we don't do speed squats. Speed squats are loaded at a higher percentage. And it's a waste of exercise. Why not just optimal discharge frequency with the dumbbell jumps? Because you're still getting max effort with the dynamic effort stuff. Maximum intent on everything. It's not minimum intent when you're just kind of hopping off the ground or repeated jumps. That's terrible for you. So we've learned brief maximal tension, same thing as maximum effort, kind of get lost in the shuffle. Repeated effort method still needs to be utilized almost to failure, even if you want the maximum motor units recruited, but with the hidden and size principle behind it. And we learned that dynamic effort does not increase strength. Your ability is limited by your ceiling, which is your absolute strength. So you have to learn how to increase your strength. And when increasing your strength again comes missed reps. So here's a couple patterns. I had a kid at the gym, and I do have the right folder. I'm trying to find the right pattern. His squat, he had 390 for 4 sets of 5. He went 5, 4, 3, 4. So he only got 1 set of 5 out of the 4 sets of 5. Then over here, he had 365, 390, and 410. He went 3, 3, 3, 2. So he missed his last rep on his last set. So we still fell within the brief maximum tension method. And he said this was an easy day. I gave him a 5x5. I didn't write the weight down. He went 5, 5, 5, 4, or 5, 5, 5, 5, 4. So he missed his last rep on his last set. So we did still tap into the brief maximum tension method. He didn't have his bench stuff written down, or I would have talked about that. And a sad story is there's this kid. This is almost child abuse in my eyes, because you're sending kids to me. You're paying a high premium price. Some people don't think it's high, that's them, but I'm not cheap, and everybody pays the same thing. So trying to get the best out of it, these people, there's not a price issue for them. It's just, I think, lazy. So this kid started in July of 23. I got this little girl that started in February of 23. She started off using 12-pound dumbbells. She couldn't do the bar yet, so I had to train her with the dumbbells in order to where we could do the bar. So we're starting getting newbie gains kind of off. And so now with the newbie gains off, in July, she had a 65-pound bench, and this boy had a 65-pound bench. So in July, 65, August, 75. So we went up 10 pounds in a month, and did not come back until June of 24. And he benched 80 pounds. So all that time, he gained 10 pounds in 1 month, and almost a year later, only went up 5 pounds. That's crazy. And what the crazy thing about it is he came back in March of this year, 2026, or it was February. It was February of 2026. The little girl has benched 170 pounds at 12 years old. So I got this little girl, 170-pound bench, 12 years old, 110, 112-pound body weight. And he goes, that's genetics. I said, that's terrible. Do not discount anybody's hard effort. I looked in the computer. She had benched over 300, or been at the gym over 390 times. And so if you bench, and she does combos 3 days a week. So 3 days a week, 3 years yields that. And so this kid, I guess people want to throw that genetic BS out because they think they're just trying to write some way off that person's that much better than. This kid's 15, and he came in, and he weighs 162 pounds. 162-pound, 15-year-old kid only benched 135 pounds. She's 12 years old, benching 170. And that's why he said genetics. But that's piss. Look, in 2023, he was benching 65 and 75. If he would have went up, progressing like 10 to 15 pounds per month, he'd been well ahead of her by now. I've had 15-year-olds bench 315. And it's just so sad that these kids will come to me sporadically and not take the time and effort to get as good as what they could have. Then when they get so far down the road, oh, I'm just gonna write it off genetics. I'm damn lazy, so I'm gonna probably quit my sport because I'm not gonna play football or baseball with a 135-pound bench at 15 years old. I'm gonna get my ass ran over. Well, sometimes you don't realize shit until it's too late. It's too late for him to be that great, and it's pretty sad on my part to see a 15-year-old kid that had potential to get his ass, now he's getting his ass kicked by a 12-year-old girl, getting out jumped, outran. She out sprints him, she out jumps him, and she outlifts him. She's 12 pounds, less than 115-pound body weight. This kid's 162 pounds. That's crazy. That's training though. That's brief maximum tension, making these kids stronger than the rest of the people out there in the world. And so I had this, I didn't probably write this down. Oh, no, I wrote it down somewhere and I didn't bring it up here. I got this girl that's been coming to the gym. Her first squat max was 120 pounds. Next month, 145. Next month, 165 pounds. So we're improving our leg strength at a rapid rate. And I get this text. She said, Jared, I'm really tired of burning myself out, and I just really want to get my reps. She said, I really truly want to get better. I said, you're getting better, but you feel like you're not getting better because you're missing reps. Yeah. I said, but I'm testing you at the end of each month, and you went 120, 140, 165. And so I just kind of shook my head and went on about it because, I test every month. And she was roughly target goal right around 200 reps per month. And so missing reps here and there, so she didn't make all those reps. So the next month, remember, the brief maximum tension is a powerful stimulus. If I've been giving someone bourbon, straight bourbon for 2 or 3 months, and next month I come in and they just get beer, and what do you think is going to happen? That beer is not going to hit them the same way that bourbon was. And so next month, I gave her 352 targeted reps to hit. She made all her sets and reps all month long. Was just as happy as can be. And at the end of the month, I tested her. Her squat went from 165 to 160. She went down 5 pounds. And she started crying in the middle of the gym in front of everybody. And you knew that was going to happen. I said, yeah, I can make you stronger or I can make you weaker. I've got the knowledge and the power to do whatever I want. And so I had to teach you a lesson because I can't tell you, because I've been telling you, and I told you it's not reps, it's the freaking tension. It's the tension that makes you stronger. So brief max, that's why we're failing between 3s, 5s. Sometimes we get down as low as 2. And so we're not concentrated on, if we're hitting 0.6 on our squats all the time, we're not quite hitting brief maximal tension. Those are different parameters in a different limelight down the road that displays and shows up, hey, if we're doing this, we're going to do this. We've got to figure out where we are down the road. So hitting all these things allows us to figure out what is and what is not. So yeah, total 351 reps, and her squat went down 5 pounds, making all her reps. And so I've been giving her bourbon, then I gave her beer and went down, and I said, you may do the same thing next month to your bench. Oh no, don't touch my bench, don't touch my bench. And still missing reps, still getting mentally defeated, although sees everybody else in the gym. You're not the only individual in here. It's other people too, and they're missing. 101 reps the first week, 101 reps the second week, 95 reps, and then 54 reps the last week. Got cooked. So anyway, hopefully this brief maximum tension has questions. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to me at info@Explosive Mechanics, Explosive Mechanics at Instagram, and Explosive MEC on X. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.